Okay. So what have we got accomplished today while we were off camera listening to music and jamming out the whole fucking time, Paul?
Well, a hell of a lot less stress thanks to not having the camera rolling. We have accomplished quite a few different things. We took the accessory drive off this LS. I've started cleaning it up the wrong way with a wire brush and a drill because it's freaking easier and I don't give a shit. We have found that this is indeed a good old-fashioned truck iron block, aluminum head. I've still got some exhaust bolts that I have to extract out of this thing. I forgot about, actually. So yeah, I've just been going through cleaning it up. Reason I know it's aluminum head, there's absolutely no rust in the head. If you look at the block, there's rust. So, iron block, aluminum head, out of the 01, looking up the casting numbers and all that. Probably the best setup I could ask for. Get a car intake, get a car accessory drive, and slap this entire frickin' doodad together in the car and see if the transmission works. That'll be interesting. And right now, just cleaning it up, making it look pretty. Maybe throw some paint on it. I'll find out. And other than that, good old-fashioned frickin' Chevy V8, man. Not originally what I wanted to do for the car. I wanted to do something completely different, but considering the price I paid for this thing, and I'll be starting out with, you know, close to 300 horsepower, and there's parts galore everywhere for this thing. You know, it's definitely doing well for the budget. So,
and we already hit our horsepower benchmark just by having the engine.
Yeah, just this engine, I was able to hit the 300 or so horsepower benchmark that I wanted to get out of a V6, but why get it out of the V6 for a little bit bigger package? I can have it out the gate starting, and then later on throw some Nagasaki Noisy Boys on this thing if I'm feeling apt to see if I can blow it up. But other than that, yep, I'm just going through, cleaning up the engine best I can. I'm going to gunk it and, you know, get all the rest of this excess oil and grease and everything else off of here.
A giant pile on the floor and the indication for you.
Yeah, this thing does have, you know, it's almost a 20-year-old engine, so yeah, it's pretty freaking nasty. It's pretty dirty. So, you know, a lot of time and maybe a lot of miles to accumulate something. I don't know. I don't know how many miles were on this engine when we got it, but what I do know is it's going to go in the RX-7 and it's going to stay in there until it blows the fuck up or until I find a way to blow it the fuck up. Anyway, you're distracted.
Paul did the shocks on that.
I mean, they're shocks, they work.
Yeah, they're blue. They're Monroe. I did the front, Paul did the back.
I kind of want to find a socket and see if that engine rotates.
We'll find out.
That's something we haven't checked yet.
Yes. Just a quick little update. Since you guys saw us get this here, and it's in here, and everything, so.
It really sucked to take off of the truck. That really sucked.
Yeah, we're not going there.
Yes. But yeah, thought I would say hi and everything, so, yeah.
Hey guys, welcome back to another wonderful bit of our entire little Mazda build here. So what we've got here is my little 5.3 liter LS. It's kind of torn down to a short block, as you can see, and one of the things that we wanted to do was check out and make sure that everything on the engine was okay. Yeah, we should have done this earlier, but you know, we were kind of prompted by a little incident with our other engine for a different project to kind of make sure everything was good. And since we were going to get in there, we wanted to do something interesting called ring gap. So since this engine is going to be turbocharged eventually, and now probably off the bat if I find the right transmission, we need to worry about making sure that these two things never butt together while the engine is running. So the easy way to do ring gap, there's normally a factory setting. I think the factory wants it around a 0.022 ring gap. So how we do ring gap is you'll put this ring from the piston, and you probably won't be able to see it very well on this side because there's not a lot of light. You'll kind of stick it in the cylinder there, and we got our piston, kind of wedge it down into the bore there so that lines up right and that it's perfectly straight. And then, now that I don't know where my tool is, there it is. Then what you'll do is check the gap with a feeler gauge. So with the feeler gauge, what you want is to find your measurement. As you can see, there's 0.035, 0.015, you know, you've got all sorts of different measurements on these feeler gauges. And what you want to accomplish is finding out which one fits in there, but has just a little bit of a drag. You'll actually feel just a little bit of pressure on the actual gauge itself. So this is a 0.24. I think that's probably close to what we're at. And that's exactly it. It went right into the gap, and there's a little bit of a drag as you move it back and forth. So that's how you measure your piston ring gap. Now, how you adjust it, well, we can't really put metal on these things. So if you want to adjust it, or in our application, make the ring gap a wee bit bigger, what you should use is a piston ring filer. They make a little tool for it. It's 80 bucks. It's got a little grinding wheel, but we didn't have the time nor resources nor money to actually bother with that. So we used the old bench grinder. That's not the way you're supposed to do it at all, ever, but that's how we did it, and we managed to still get a nice flat edge, and everything still tuned out absolutely correct. So there's our little one shot here on how to do the piston ring gaps and why piston ring gap is important. Well, it's important for a couple reasons. A, this engine may see only E85 with the turbocharged application. Even if we were leaving it NA, it would probably see E85. Well, with E85 comes more cylinder heat. With more cylinder heat comes more expansion or contraction of what I guess you would say. So the more that this thing heats up, the closer the ends of this thing will come to butting together. If you don't have enough of a gap under high engine heat, if these butt together, this thing can just go, while in the cylinder, it'll break the entire piece of this hyperelectric piston apart. It'll blow a whole bunch of shit into my really nice cathedral port heads, which are, the springs are out of right now because we're upgrading the valve springs. And essentially not just trash the bottom end. Like if I were to rod knock this engine, I could reuse my heads and, you know, whatever, that's fine, dandy. But then we're destroying the entire ensemble. This entire engine will be toast if those things ever, you know, butt up together and just snap. Because when it snaps, like I said, it's going to break the top of the piston. Guaranteed. It has to go somewhere. So the only place it can go is up. So that's really the basic gist of it. For turbocharged applications like what we're going to be running in E85, you want a little bit more gap. That way there's a little bit more room for expansion there, since there's going to be more heat created in the engine. And that goes for whether you're turbocharging it or, you know, just running E85. And there's a lot of guys out there with these engines that they'll run stock ring gap, you know, 0.022, 0.024. That's the stock ring gap on it. Well, a lot of people have no problems, but me personally, I already have to have the engine apart to double check to make sure everything was okay on it. Why not do ring gap while I'm in there? And that is our little tidbit on this piece. So for those of you who probably at least witnessed my brother talking about piston rings, one of the things that we like to do here is screw ourselves up. Of all the things, we've got this little electric thing, and then we can't use the electric portion of it because we lost the tool that comes with the piston ring compressor. And yeah, if you're wondering if you need this, yeah, don't go to meme school on YouTube where somebody just pounds it in with a dead blow. You're gonna hurt shit. I want to make sure that this is about as even as possible here. So with the piston ring compressor, Jay, how easy should that thing go in?
It should. You should be able to just take your hand and push it straight down in there. We might get lucky with this one. It's been a hot minute since he made that video. So we've already done all 7 of these. This is the last one to go in. This is cylinder 1. We've already got it all gapped properly. We've got it the 3.0 over. And hopefully with this, I should be able to just... And the oil ring caught.
Always. Doesn't matter if we get this thing tight enough the first time or not. Always. It's always a fight with you, oil ring. It's always a fight with just the freaking oil ring.
And now I've got to loosen this back up. By the way, if any of you are unfamiliar with this tool, don't ever try to loosen these things back up without putting something in it to hold on to it. Otherwise it comes flying apart. Trust me. I wonder, ask me how I know.
Don't ask him how he knows. That should tell you everything.
I've only done that with 3 or 4 different pistons off of my Saturn.
Yeah, sometimes we got to get the block of wood.
Yeah, I'm really hoping not to have to use the block of wood.
We had to use the block of wood on one of them.
One so far.
One. All the rest just pushed right in. So, here's the hopes and dreams, I guess.
Yeah.
Also, another thing he hasn't mentioned.
Then you get to sit here and watch me struggle for 10 minutes trying to put this thing back on.
Well, loosen it some more. Well, while you're there, why don't you tell these guys, since I explained piston ring gap, how about you guys learn a little bit something from Jay about how the piston ring should be aligned before putting it in the engine.
Yeah. So in most cases, especially with these particular ones, they have a really bad blow-by problem. So what you should be doing is at least between a 90 and a 180 between the openings where you've actually got your gap. Why is that? Because if you have these rings aligned, what happens is all of the compression actually blows by into the oil, into your oil feed ring, or oil control ring, as a lot of people would more commonly know it. And then you end up with a bunch of oil in turn coming back up into it. So it burns oil and then it misfires like a freaking sucker.
And this particular engine, the LM7,
is notorious for that.
Yeah, it's known to do that from time to time. Just kind of, the rings kind of twist and then line up, and then they never...
Because they will twist naturally in the engine, whether you like it or not. But generally, they should never line up. That's the hope and dream. In some cases, you're not so lucky with that. Make sure that this is lined up properly again, Jay. And hope and pray you actually get this tight enough that you don't need...
That seems like excessive force. Trust me, it is not.
No, not on these things. You almost can't have them too tight.
Is the piston orientated the right way? And how can you tell? Because they can't tell on camera. But
yeah, it's probably going to be hard to see. So I'll bring it into the light here where you can actually put the camera down into it. These have a divot. And this divot's right here. You can see it. This actually tells you that the orientation is supposed to be to the front of the engine. So, in retrospect, you should be able to check every last one of these and they all should be facing the same way. Are you kidding me? The oil ring again.
Doesn't look like it popped up, but...
The oil ring got caught again. So, when this happens, don't do as we do.
Well...
Or do as we do. Just don't hit it with this and don't try to dead blow it in there straight.
Just do it very light taps. If you should, just kind of pop right in there.
Should be just about there. Nope.
Don't do that.
It shifted. And no, I caught my ring.
So don't do as he did. But that's the basic gist of it. He may get it installed sometime today. We'll see.
Well, the nice thing about this is that I can loosen this up, reclamp it around that ring, and just try it again.
Patience.
Young grasshoppers. Or old farts, whichever you are.
No,
Unless you're
all the old guys who are watching us do this right now are
laughing their butts
screaming.
off. They're
They're
laughing their
screaming
butts
in
off.
horror.
Uh-oh. That sounded like a
It
bear.
popped off the ring again.
Did it? God damn it.
Yep. Take it back out. Do it again. We'll be back, hopefully with an assembled lower end, since he can't seem to get it now that there's a freaking camera rolling.
Shut up.
He was doing just fine earlier, guys, I swear. I don't know what his problem is. Why don't you just, yeah, we'll take care of that in a minute. Why don't you just kind of set the piston slightly in there and then put the compressor on.
If you need somebody to screw up your day, give me a call. My phone number won't be available to you, but you could try it.
We are the gold standard of shit. After all, so far it's taken almost 8 minutes to watch you put a piston in an engine.
To reset the video, who will know?
They all will know because I have said it.
Yeah.
Yes, it is a piston ring compressor. Yes, it does. It does move. Oh. Okay. Okay.
Will you work with me this time? Only time will tell. Hold on. Oof.
It's not quite aligned right.
Assembling this without lube is a really bad idea, by the way, boys.
What are you talking about? It's oiled. Hey, there we go.
And now it's
went
in.
in there.
And now it easily slides in.
Yes.
Because it's not a bad...
There we go, guys. We're gonna finish assembling this thing and put an oil pan on it.